Welcome back to Dishing You Well. I'm excited to have y'all back. I know I'm in my PJs today, but I'm dressed perfect for the occasion because today we're doing breakfast. Not only are we doing breakfast, we're doing French toast. Nothing special about it, right? But you never had French toast like this. You want to stick around and find out why. Let's go. All right, so here are all the ingredients you'll be needing to make your French toast. Today we're making banana cream cheese stuffed French toast. So right here I have the bread. You definitely want to use Texas toast bread. The difference between that and regular sliced bread is the thickness. As you can see, the slices are a lot thicker. It'll be better to absorb the mixture. And it'll allow your ingredients to cook faster without burning quickly. The thinner the bread, the faster the ingredients you add in will cook. You're also going to need whole milk. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm using almond milk, but feel free to use whole milk if you aren't. I'm actually also going to use 8 ounces of cream cheese. I might not use the whole packet, but you'll definitely need cream cheese. You're going to need cinnamon, vanilla. I'm using 4 large eggs, confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, white sugar, 2 ripe bananas. As you can see, these are darkened. It's black. So basically, you want it to be a ripened banana. It'll be easier to basically manage and work with. If your bananas aren't ripened, just leave them on the counter or on the table for a few days, and they'll darken pretty quick. And we're also going to make a 12-ounce packet of bacon with this. You can use, I'm using pork. If you don't eat pork, you can definitely use beef. But these are basically all the ingredients you'll be needing today. So the first thing you want to do is basically get your oven turned on to 400 degrees, and you'll be ready to go to the next step. All right, so while your oven is heating up to 400 degrees, we're going to basically just get this bacon prepared to go into the oven. I want to show y'all a little something. What I like to do is basically cook my bacon inside of the oven. I haven't cooked bacon on top of the stove for about 15 years. If you're still cooking your bacon on top of the stove, you really need to grow up. No, seriously, but it's easier. It makes more sense. It cooks a lot more even. You can manage the amount of crispiness that you prefer and everything. Basically, when you cook it in the oven, when you cook it on top of the stove, it tends to, it'll vary the level of crispiness depending on which strip of bacon. So I think it's a lot more convenient putting it in the oven. What you'll do is you'll just lay them horizontally as far apart as you can. You might have to overlap somewhere down, but it's all right because this is going to shrink a whole lot. As you know, bacon shrinks a lot inside of the oven, so don't worry about them touching each other. You just want to lay them out horizontally on the baking sheet. Once your oven gets to 400 degrees, just throw them in there. How long you'll cook it depends on how crispy you like it. I would set your oven to around 30 minutes, and after every 30 minutes, just keep checking it every 5 minutes, and you'll know that it's at the level of crispy or tenderness that you prefer it. So now we're just going to get this ready to go into the oven, and we'll be back with the next step. All right, so your next step while your bacon's either in the oven or your oven is preheating, you want to cut up your bananas. And as you can see, these bananas are cut up into slices this size. You don't want them too thick because you want them to be able to brown pretty quick. You're going to set that to the side. You want to do this step now because you want to get this out of the way. You also want to get a frying pan, and you want to heat it up to a medium low heat. You don't want it on medium high, so you want it at like maybe a 4 or a 3. So you want your heat to be your pan to be at a medium heat. After that's heated up, you want to go in and you want to add your butter. If you don't have butter, you can use margarine. I do suggest using butter. You want to add your butter, maybe 4 tablespoons of butter to the pan, and this is another ingredient I didn't add in the beginning, but it's never too late. You also want to add brown sugar. So you're going to add like 4 tablespoons of butter in here, and you want to add like 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. But you want to make sure, let me add this. You want to make sure that your fire or your pan is not at a high. You want it to definitely be at a medium, because butter or margarine can burn fairly quick. You just want to make sure that the bottom of your pan has butter in it. And once this butter completely melts, you can go right ahead in and add the brown sugar. I'll wait for this to heat up. I'll add the brown sugar and I'll come right back. All right, so as you can see, I have the brown sugar and the butter. The butter and the brown sugar has came to a boil. You can see the bubbles. So that indicates it's time for you to put the bananas in. So I'm going to go right ahead in and place the bananas in flat. You don't want to crowd them together. It doesn't matter if they touch, but you don't want to crowd them. And they cook very fast, so you want to get them in, get them all in as quick as you can. Make sure that they're all flat. All right, so once the bananas are all in the pot, you want to move the bottom of the pan around a little bit, because you don't want that butter and sugar to burn. So just move it around a little bit. You're going to let them cook for around 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Once they've cooked 3 minutes on one side, you'll turn them over, cook them on the other side, and then it'll be ready to take out of the pan. I'm going to let these cook for a total of around 6 minutes, 3 minutes on each side, and I'll be right back. All right, so these have cooked for around 4.5, 5 minutes. So the bananas get really soft once they've thoroughly cooked through. So you definitely don't want to keep them in there too long, because they'll begin to fall apart. So at this point, I'm ready to take these off the flame. So I'll take them off the flame and I'll let you know what the next step is. All right, so I have the bananas set to the side, cooling off, and I'm gonna get started with my cream cheese mixture. Right here, I have 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese softened. You want it to be room temperature and softened. So if it was in the fridge, you want to take it out earlier in the day, or at least for like an hour or so that it can soften and be easy to mix. I also have a 1/2 cup of confectioner sugar. I'm going to add that in. And I'm going to start beating that. I'm actually using a hand mix, well, the stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixture for this also. I'm going to start on low. You want to make sure you beat the side so the cream cheese can get mixed in. Stop that. Actually, a quick trick, if you want to get the mixture softened and creamed up fast, add a very small, probably 1/2 of a tablespoon of milk to the mixture. Turn it up. And as you can see, things are starting to mix up. That mixture is starting to mix up really good. Once it starts to soften really good, you can add in just 2 splashes of vanilla. I'm using pure vanilla. You can use vanilla extract. The pure vanilla will give you a more powerful taste. And again, you just want to get that mixed up. So you can turn it on whip so it can get nice and creamed. So once this is creamed, we'll set this aside and we'll be ready for our next step. And all right, so with our cream cheese mixture set to the side, we're going to be ready for our next step, which is basically to make our dipping solution, or our dipping station. We're going to start our dipping station by basically getting the egg and milk mixture put together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 4 large eggs to a bowl. I'm going to add a few teaspoons of milk. You don't want to add too much milk because you don't want the mixture to be too loose. You want to get that mixed up. Get that mixed up. To that, you want to add cinnamon. You want to add a nice amount of cinnamon. I like cinnamon, so you're going to add just 1 dash of vanilla extract. And I like to add just a small sprinkle of nutmeg. Be careful, nutmeg is very powerful, so you don't want it to be overwhelming. And you want to give this a nice beat so that the cinnamon combines. Cinnamon has a way of clumping up and falling and actually floating to the top of the mixture. So you definitely want to get all of the sides a good beat. And that's it. We're ready for the next step. All right. So as you can see, I transferred our egg mixture to a pie dish. You want something deep. Well, not deep. You want something pretty shallow, so you'll be able to fit the whole slice of bread in when you're dipping it. So now we'll be ready to go on to the next steps. And the next step will basically be to take your cream cheese mixture that we've whipped up, and you want to add it to 1 slice of your bread. But try to stay away from the edges, because once the 2 pieces come together, they're going to mash down and the mixture will come out on the sides. You don't want that. You might get a little bit of that, but you want to avoid that as much as you can. So even though it's not all the way to the edges, once the other bread goes on top, it'll basically push it to the edges. So don't worry about that. So you want just a sort of a thin layer. That might be too much. Then you want to go in with impeccably clean hands and you want to add the bananas. Depending on how many bananas each person likes on theirs. But you want to basically make sure that there's a piece of banana on each part of the bread. And then you can go back on top and add a little bit more cream cheese mixture, not a lot. What that'll do is make sure that the top piece of bread will be coated also. After that, you place the top piece on, mash it down. Now you're pretty much ready to dip it into the mixture. So what you'll do is you go in, dip it into the mixture, move it around. Don't leave it in too long because we don't want it soggy. We basically want it to cook up. Even get some of the sides. Don't leave it in too long. Transfer it back on the plate. Then you'll go and repeat the step. Add the mixture to the bread. Try to avoid the sides as much as you can. Add in the bananas. And these bananas have been sauteed in brown sugar and butter, so they're very flavorful. Go back in, add a small layer of cream cheese filling on the top. Add the other piece of bread. Now you're ready to dip. Again, you don't want it to stay in too long. You just want to make sure that the bread mixture gets on every part. Place it to the side. And now you're pretty much ready for your French toast or your cream cheese, banana cream cheese French toast to go into the skillet. So while we did this, I have a skillet set on the stove to medium. You don't want to put it on high, so you want it on maybe a 3 on the medium heat. So the next step will be to get these fried up. When we come right back, I'll show you how we'll get that done. All right, so right here, I have in a frying pan, my butter heated on a low. I have it at around a 3. Make sure that it's at a low heat. You don't want it to be too high and burn the butter. And I'm pretty much ready to put the French toast in. So I'm just gonna do one at a time for the purpose of the video. But you can use a bigger pan or a flat skillet so you can cook a few at a time, but you basically want to sit that in there. The reason why you want it on low is because you want to give it enough time to cook the French toast on the outsides, the sides, and you want to make sure that the inside filling gets heated up thoroughly also. So you definitely want to make sure that it's on a low heat. I'm going to let that cook, I would say around 6 minutes on each side, 5 to 6 minutes on each side. We'll be able to take that off and I'll show you how we'll plate it. All right, so I flipped this over after around 3 to 4 minutes, and this is what you want to look for, that golden brown. You want to make sure you don't flip it before at least 3 minutes because you want to make sure everything stays together. But that golden brown color is what you want to look for. So when I come back, I'll show you how we'll put everything together. There we have it. Delicious banana cream cheese French toast. I want to thank y'all for spending this time with me in my kitchen. Until next time, I'm dishing you well. Love y'all. See y'all next time.